Hey everyone, welcome to the Connection Hangout. My name is David Asarno and I am here in Marietta, Georgia. Now my co-host, Paul Tyra, happens to be on a plane right now to Europe. So I want to give a big shout out and thank you to Brent Brooks because Brent is moderating our comment thread right now. So right below this screen, there's a place for you to put comments. So make sure you say hi, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know what you think, any suggestions. Now, I want you to know that this is not a product or business presentation. However, if you'd like more information on ASEA, please get back with the person who invited you to be on this Hangout. Now, if you see more info button under your screen, after the Hangout is over, feel free to click on it, and it will take you to an area where you can have more information on ASEA. So I'm really excited because tonight we have special guests who attended our East Coast base camp at Bushkill Falls in the Poconos along with me. So tonight, let's give a warm welcome. We're going to give our warm welcome because we don't have the applause meter here today for Gold Executive Luella McQuiggan. Woo! Silver Executive Stuart Klein.
Yay, Stuart!
Bronze Executive Christina Cooper. And Bronze Executive Kathy Howell.
Yay, Kathy!
I want to thank you all for coming on tonight and being willing to share your experiences. I know we all had an amazing experience up in the Poconos, and here's a great opportunity for us to share with all of our viewers what it meant to you. So I'd like to begin with you, Luella.
Okay.
So welcome. Now you had an extraordinary base camp, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I sure did.
Yeah, so tell me first and foremost, what did it mean for you to make it to base camp?
On a personal note, it was a dream come true. I actually, on the road to, in my journey to the base camp, I actually borrowed Terry and Foster's base camp awarding the plaque that they have, took a picture of that and have that on my vision board. So that is one of those check off lists for me in the picture, the vision board. And then on an accomplishment note, it represented lives that I've helped and added value to. It's a small portion for now, and it's a start.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now that is awesome that you actually took a picture of the base camp plaque and you had it up on your vision board. That is really cool, and it just shows, how we can create. If we can envision something, we can actually start focusing on it and then make it happen.
Yeah.
And it brings me to my next question, and I have a feeling I know what the answer is, and yet I don't know what you're going to say. So which one speaker stood out in your mind and why?
For me, all of them were very good. And who stood out for me was Karen Riley. So I wasn't sure if that's who you thought it would be. But Karen Riley, when she talked about the anatomy of peace, one of my core beliefs is the way you do one thing or the way I do one thing is the way I do everything. So even though the context of the anatomy of peace was presented in the base camp and the context was ASEA, I also could see how I could apply these lessons, throughout. The lessons are far-reaching for me, and it's like that pebble ripple effect on the water. So I really got a lot of value from the Anatomy of Peace by Karen Riley.
Awesome. So, well, let's talk about another speaker that you had a pretty amazing breakthrough with, Deb Erickson. Tell us a little about that one.
That was amazing. So I volunteered when she said who wants to volunteer. By the time she said the R, I go like just raise my hand just for the fun of it, not realizing that it'll be an arrow breaking through the softest part of the throat. So first it was like, oh my gosh, it'll be like
They did give you, by the way, they did give you my dirty napkin to use to put there.
Which I made it more dirty with my tears and then pass it on to Debbie Wexler. So that was cool.
So tell us about it.
That was it was scary. I love the metaphor of breaking the arrow on the softest part. First of all, it's like my voice is my connection to the world. So to have that right here was just like OMG. And and then to break the board, it was a lot. It was like multi-layered, and at the same time, it was like multifaceted, like a diamond. Having it on the softest part of the throat, it represented for me being so vulnerable. And then the other side of being vulnerable was to declare to the base camp attendees, which was like I consider as family. And so it's one thing to declare in the privacy of my room and in my prayers, but to have actual live people who actually know me, what my dreams are, it was scary, and it really put me out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were amazing, and I've got to tell you that I've walked on fire, I've walked on glass, I've eaten fire, and I've actually had an arrow go to my throat. The hardest thing that I ever did was the arrow, and when I saw you up on stage and I saw arrows sort of sticking out in the corner, I'm like, oh no, she's gonna ask him to do that. And it's like, and as you're up there and you're putting it to your throat, and I see your expression and what's going on with you, I can feel it in my throat. And the breakthrough that you actually had up there, the symbolic breakthrough, everyone felt it, and they could see that you actually, when you committed and you walked through, you had no fear.
Yeah.
Now, you also had some fun at base camp, didn't you?
Or I delivered fun to everybody else. Yes, and I did have fun in base camp. It was very awesome. After the breakthrough, the arrow breakthrough, it was almost like no holds barred. It was like game on.
Yeah, what people don't realize that are watching this is we actually had a hypnosis show, and you ended up being one of the stars of our show.
I didn't know about that till afterwards, and okay.
Well, I'm just telling you, you were amazing. You
Thank you.
played full out there, and I've got to tell you, you win the award for best dancer.
I did. I don't know. I don't remember the dance part. I do remember the fish part and the monkey part, but I don't know about the dancing part.
So, how would you encourage people viewing this? What would you say to them? Why they should attend? Why they should strive to attend the next base camp?
Um, the notion that work is hard and tedious is really, it's almost like I bring fun into anything I do. And so if I'm gonna do it, might as well, having the attitude of make it fun, and not just fun as an attitude. We actually have ASEA actually has a program like Base Camp where we actually get taught and have fun at the same time. So it really it's a myth buster. Like, ASEA for me is really a myth buster in all levels. Like work hard, but really is it really hard when you're also having fun? And so highly recommend. So aside from the value that we add to people's lives and the greatest breakthrough there is, through ASEA, the breakthrough really is me. So, they said about the three products, it's ASEA, it's Renew, and the business. Actually, for me, the fourth one is I'm also the product through personal development in ASEA. So highly recommend to strive for and aim for base camp at the minimum and as a start.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Luella, for being here today. We appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
Stuart, we've got to welcome you next. I don't know how to unmute you. You're not muted, so there you are. So welcome, Stuart.
Hello, everyone.
So what was your biggest aha moment at base camp?
Well, really, it started with about 2 months ago when I started to redesign how I would approach my network marketing business with ASEA and work on me, because it's really about helping people. And without helping myself first, I wouldn't be able to help people, because I had to experience some of this stuff so I could share some of it. And to hear the theme for Basecamp this year was just awesome.
Yeah, it was, when you think about it, acclimate to elevate. And, when you think of climbing a mountain or Everest, the first thing that you have to do is you have to get to base camp, and then from there you can go onward and upward at a very rapid pace. And it's funny that you brought that up, because that's something that, hit home with me as well. What one speaker stood out in your mind, and why?
Well, it's interesting because the longer I spend time in ASEA and network marketing, the more I get to be a little bit touchy-feely and emotional. So you would think I'd be saying Karen Riley, but I have to tell you, Craig Daly blew me away with his presentation from the Vital Smart program. The whole idea, he started off with the book Influencer, The Power to Change Everything. But what really struck me, besides the content of all of that material, is that he had to get certified to be able to share this with all of us. And I thought that was a huge step. On the other side, though, the steps that are contained within, the 6 steps, and the 2 separate areas, really hit home and make sense on how to develop yourself, but more importantly, how you can develop the people that you're working with.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing training and presentation, and there's just so much information that if we and when we take the time and implement it ourselves, and then take it with the people on our team and train them as well, it's just absolutely amazing. Now, what would you say to people who are in ASEA that aren't yet at the level that they'd qualify? Why should they attend the next base camp?
Well, that's a really great question. And now that I've been to base camp, because I really didn't know what to expect, even though I've heard about how wonderful it is the lineup of speakers, the content, the skill and professionalism of the speakers was just awesome. What an opportunity we had to really learn the comp plan. What an opportunity to learn about touchy-feely stuff, how to really find tools and techniques. And then, of course, as you pointed out, there was a capstone in the show with the hypnotist. And not only did Luella was a star, but we had a few stars in that, which made for a very, very rewarding experience.
Yes, we did. Thank you for sharing, Stuart. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
And Christina, welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's great having you. So what was one of your biggest aha moments at base camp?
Man, there were so many, David. I think the biggest realization I had came when I was talking to Sue Brenchley. We had a nice chat, and I realized as we were going through the program, and the speakers were just amazing, and I was having flashbacks to times when I walked on fire, and I did the arrow breaking and went through other milestones, and I realized the changes that have taken place in my life because of those experiences. But I think my biggest aha was that I'm dreaming way too small. So to really stretch and really go for it, I mean, they're telling you to look 2 levels ahead. Well, you know, you really have to look at being a triple diamond. I mean, regardless of where you are, you have to really shoot for the top, because whatever you aim for, you have a chance of hitting, but why aim lower than where you really want to be? So that was a big recognition for me.
Yeah, it's funny that you just brought that up, because, you know, there was that story about when that group was climbing up to the top of that mountain, and the one lady said, "No, I can't make it any further, and I've seen enough. I can see it. Everyone go on," and then everyone carried her up there, and the view from the top was just so much different. And I appreciate so much that you brought that up and that you shared it. Which one speaker stood out in your mind, and why?
Oh my gosh, they're all so great, and you know, moving in their own right. I mean, Mike did a great job on strategies. Sue did a fabulous job on the 28-day challenge. Karen, of course, Anatomy of Peace is one of my favorite all-time books. Craig Daly was phenomenal too. One of my favorite parts of the weekend, I think, was the breakout, when we actually sat in groups and the diamonds came around and worked with us. And we were given 8 different questions on how to build our businesses, how to increase volume, how to, you know, build wider and deeper. That was phenomenal. It's too bad we didn't have more time for that, but that's something that we're going to work on as a group here. And I encourage everybody else to do it too, because I think that's where we're really going to see a lot of growth.
You're right. It's those little moments we we break out together. And the great thing is, when you start implementing these strategies, skipping up to that 2 levels up, 3 levels up is much easier. How would you encourage people viewing this to attend the next base camp?
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one more thing, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The closing ceremony was so moving to me. I was just so blown away. Not only do we have an extremely talented and skilled executive team. Rex Cochran's actually sang for us. After the award ceremony, they were flashing up pictures of all the attendees on the screens, and he sang To Dream the Impossible Dream. And I had goosebumps. I had no idea he had a voice like that, and that was just so memorable. I don't think I'll ever forget it.
He had a voice of an angel.
Absolutely.
Or has. He has.
Yes.
So why should people attend base camp?
Oh, gosh, I can't imagine not going. Well, for one thing, the speakers are phenomenal. The connections that you make just circulating with other people from around the country, around the world, is amazing. I had long, really meaningful conversations with so many people, and that was great. I don't know how we fit it all into the time we had for the weekend. But just making those connections is really great, because so often I just feel like I'm just isolated and I'm out there by myself. But all these people are giving me cards saying, call me any time, I'm there to help you. You know, people not even on my team. I mean, it was just really supportive and loving. And for that alone, it's worth going. And then everything that you learn from all the speakers, it's just, you can't beat it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for sharing. So, Kathy, welcome.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having all of us tonight.
Oh, it's our pleasure. What was your biggest aha moment at base camp?
You know, I can't say enough of just everything that everyone has shared here tonight. You know, I didn't want to reiterate just the whole thing, but probably the biggest was going back and breaking down our goals into the baby steps, just to go, okay, so, you know, yes, we all want to be triple diamonds, or maybe not, but, you know, to have the larger goal. But it all starts with the first step of contacting those 5 people a day, you know, building the friendships, building the relationships, and saying, okay, to get to triple diamond, I need to take the first step. And the first step may be to just reach out to that one person. So one person turns into 2, into 5, and then just build from there. So I think that was great to hear. I've heard it so much, but yet, you know, once again, when you get there and you see it does all boil down to just taking the daily steps every single day and being consistent.
Cool. So which one speaker stood out in your mind, and why?
Oh gosh, that one's really, really hard, because once again, just like everybody said, I loved every minute of it. I just can't say enough about how much value I got from everything that people shared. The Gateses did an amazing job on sharing their steps on how they assess when they're having a conversation with people. You know, would that person be right for them, using the Pearls plus C strategy. And if you don't know what that is, be sure and find out what it is, because that's, to me, was really valuable. I really appreciated Craig Daly's presentation, where, once again, just meeting people where they are, you know, applying the 6 steps and realizing that, you know, don't give up too soon. Don't, you know, go with the heart of peace, you know, and they all tied their presentations into each other, which I thought was fabulous too. It just all built on itself. And so by taking that and applying the anatomy of peace along with the influencer, and when one person really wants to make a difference, they can. You know, you don't do it in a day, but you can do it over time. And if you work with a team, you can do it faster, more effectively, and can build something really great. But just to meet people where they are. So every one of them, but yeah, Craig Daly stuck with me.
Cool. Now, we had a keynote author who was an expert on how the brain functions. And she did an exercise. It hit me when she did the exercise on the yield sign. Remember, she was asking us questions, and then we opened our eyes. She asked us, what color is a yield sign? And we all said yellow and black. And it just makes us realize that the things that we see every day, we sometimes go through life with blinders on, and we don't really notice what happened. you know, the other thing that my wife was there, and she liked that. I liked Deb Erickson because from now on, whenever I'm in a daze, and ever since from that moment on, Jen says, "Dave, you're in a gap. Dave, you're in a gap. Come here." And I don't get in trouble anymore. I'm in a gap.
Perfect.
So that worked well for me. So let's talk though about the advanced training on mindset. How will it benefit you and others?
Well, gosh, you know, that's one thing that I really came home and have started applying immediately. I've got some amazing kids, and in particular, I've been talking to my 16-year-old because it's at a really, you know, the time in his life where he's exploring. We're talking about his future, and which applies to our teams because that's where, you know, all of it goes from. And so I've shared that experiment with this time, with the yield sign with him, and simply asked him the same questions of what the colors were, and he answered yellow and black as well. And I'm thinking, here he is, 16 years old, so his programming came from the books he read when he was a baby, you know, the old books that we have, and you think, okay, so if we're dealing with this mindset from so long ago, I had my 71-year-old father with me, and you know, we're talking about the mindset and how it's working, and you know, so you go along with all walks of life, and saying, you know, how can we apply the principles that we've learned and help people realize that maybe, like you said, going through life with the blinders on and just automatic, it's like, okay, let's stop and say, is that a truth? Is that something, is that my truth? Is that something that I was taught because somebody didn't know better, and so they passed that on? And is that something we really want to pass on to our teams, to our children, to the people that we're around and can influence? And I think not. You know, a lot of things that we did grow up with are maybe not going to be the same for our future. So what I see is, once you recognize that maybe you have a limiting belief, that you recognize it, you acknowledge it, and then you change it, or you move on, you grow, and you find that there may be a better way. And to share that with those that I love and care about means so much to me. And so, you know, all of it stood out, but I think that changing those limiting beliefs is really going to make the big difference for everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, how would you encourage, or what would you say to people about Basecamp and why they should strive to attend?
Wow. Okay. Leaders are born or made at events. Bottom line, that's where it happens. Like Christina said, you know, the relationships that we build, we're building lasting relationships. And if you don't go to events, specifically Basecamp, where you get this education that you can use, but any event, any ASEA event, if you go to the local events, you're meeting with other like-minded people that can help you and benefit you for your lifetime. And so if you want to be a leader, you need to put it down. I had Basecamp on my vision board for a long time, and you know, I tell my team, you don't give up. You never give up. You do it until. Whatever goal that you have set, you do it until, and you continue to do it every day until you achieve what you want to achieve. And you know, the landing place, start at Basecamp.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to thank Luella, Stuart, Christina, and Kathy for being here and sharing from the heart tonight about your Basecamp experience. So I also want to thank Brent Brooks for moderating the comment thread. So thank you, Brent, and thank you, everyone. Let's give ourselves a hand. Woo! I think you're all muted. So I want to thank you again for being here. Take care, everyone. Have a fantastic evening, a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you later.
See ya. Bye.
See you later.